Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the launch of the Community Impact Program. May we begin our proceedings with the singing of the national anthem of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, played on the steel pan by Mr. Ivor Smart, followed by the opening prayer by Ms. Maya Pope. Ms. Pope.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I would just like to share a Bible text with you before I pray, which is taken from Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Let us bow our head for prayer. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for bringing us together to celebrate the launch of Community Impact Program. We are indeed grateful that this initiative was created and has come to life. We ask for your wisdom and guidance as we embark on this journey. May your Holy Spirit be with us today and onwards as we claim success for this program. May it be a blessing to many. Continue to guide us and be with us. In your wonderful name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Smart and Ms. Pope. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Secretary of Education, Research and Technology, Assemblyman Zorisha Hackett. Chief Administrator Acting, Mr. Carl Murray. Administrator of the Division of Education, Research and Technology, Mrs. Cherry-Ann Edwards-Louis. School Supervisor 3, Mrs. Sherry-Ann Rollox-Hackett. Technical Advisor, Ms. Ann Natasha II. Advisor to the Secretary, Mrs. Sanisha Ali. All DIRTEC heads of departments, principals, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, good morning once again. Good morning once again. Good morning. Right. I am Davia Chambers, and it is my pleasure to take you through this morning's program. On behalf of the Division of Education, Research and Technology, I welcome you to the official launch of the Community Impact Program. Today marks another milestone in the island's journey toward educational empowerment and inclusive development. This initiative is a bold step in reshaping the educational paradigm for adults in Tobago. It is now my pleasure to invite Administrator in the Division, Mrs. Cherry-Ann Edwards-Louis, to officially welcome us all.
Thank you, Davia. Good morning again, everyone.
Good morning.
I think my secretary gave me the cheeriest response. And so I recognize my secretary in the Division of Education, Research and Technology, Assemblyman Zorisha Hackett, Chief Administrator, Mr. Carl Murray, School Supervisor 3, Mrs. Sherry-Ann Rollox-Hackett, Technical Advisor in the Division, Ms. Ann Natasha II, all other heads of departments of the Division of Education, Research and Technology, principals, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, including members of the media, once again, good morning to the official launch of the Community Impact Initiative. It was only last year, in 2024, that the Caribbean Examinations Council released some very disturbing statistics. 1 in every 3 students who sat mathematics at the CSEC level failed. 1 in every 3. And 1 in every 4 students failed English, our first language. Although Tobago's pass rates are slightly better than that of the regional average, the trend is definitely heading in the wrong direction. The number of students struggling in maths and English is growing, and that should be of concern to every single one of us. But the problem continues. We see literacy and numeracy challenges across our society, and this was made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic, where many parents simply could not cope in supporting the online learning required at that time. We have heard complaints from the private sector, and we have experienced the challenges even within our own Tobago House of Assembly divisions, where we recognize that workers are struggling with basic reading, writing, maths, and comprehension. Because of course, if you can't read, how do you understand the task that is assigned to you? And this has consequences for all of us. Persons being denied promotions, persons struggling to access better jobs, and entire families bearing the brunt of such. If we all want Tobago to become the greatest little island on the planet, then we cannot leave our people behind, especially not because of challenges in maths, English, or literacy. And this is exactly why we are here today. The Division of Education, Research, and Technology, under the stewardship and leadership of the Secretary, has taken action. That's a point where you can. So we are launching the Community Impact Program today to give adults a second chance, a chance to achieve what may have seemed out of reach in the past. Through this particular program, participants will have the opportunity to prepare for and sit CSEC mathematics and English. But we are going even further. We are offering training in computer literacy, numeracy, literacy skills, and life skills. This means that beyond exam passes, people will be able to access real-life tools, like how to handle basic banking, fill out forms for government services, and confidently navigate the digital world. And you would be surprised how many persons struggle with filling out a basic form, and that is why they are not accessing many of the opportunities that are available. And I see Principal shaking his head in agreement. So because we fully understand that no one is too old to learn, We are also including a senior engagement program to support the not so young community members who still want to be able to grow and, more importantly, to thrive. To ensure that everyone can benefit, the program will be completely free of charge. And it will be available in all 15 electoral districts across Tobago, commencing the 1st of June 2025. We are fully cognizant that some persons may be sensitive or self-conscious, and because of that, we have not restricted persons to their particular electoral district. They can access the program wherever they feel comfortable. At the end of the day, though, this program is about all of us. It is about helping others to take the steps to improve their lives, their confidence, and their opportunities. I end by reinforcing that just because someone did not succeed earlier in life, simply because someone had to drop out of school for whatever reason, that does not mean that their journey ends there. This community impact program represents their second chance, and we trust that all of you would encourage as many persons as possible to seize the opportunities that we have presented as a division. I thank you.
Thank you, Administrator Mrs. Cherry-Ann Edwards-Louis, for introducing us to the Community Impact Program. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now turn our attention to the screens before us for a video presentation that captures the vision and essence of the Community Impact Program. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to further elaborate on this project, I invite Ms. Anne Natasha Second, Technical Advisor, to give us an overview of the Community Impact Program. Ms. Second.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Allow me to recognize our Secretary of Education, Research and Technology, Assemblyman Zorisha Hackett, Acting Chief Administrator, Mr. Carl Murray, Administrator of Education, Research and Technology, Mrs. Sherry-Ann Edwards-Louis, School Supervisor 3, Mrs. Sherry-Ann Rollocks Hackett, Advisor to the Secretary, Mrs. Sanisha Ali, all the heads of departments, and all members of the Division of Education, Research and Technology, members of the media, principals, specially invited guests, including persons from the business community, with whom we want to partner as we go on in the rest of the year. Again, I say good morning. Today we formally launch Community Impact, the long-anticipated and timely program that will serve as a catalyst for adult learning in Tobago. As I provide you with an overview of the program, allow me to begin with a reflection on the framework within which the intervention is set. So you will look at the slide along with me. You'll notice we have, under the Division of Education, 2 primary goals. The first one is one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, Goal 4, and the second one is one of our regional development goals as the Tobago House of Assembly, Goal J. So on a global scale, our country has committed to the attainment of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which are proposed to be achieved by the year 2030. These 17 goals chart the course for improvement in the overall quality of people's lives worldwide. At that level, we are responsible for goal number 4, which is quality education, to ensure inclusive and equitable education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So I just want to repeat that. The goal that we are looking at on a global scale, quality education, UN SDG 4, to ensure inclusive and equitable education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. When we narrow the focus, right, so these are the 17 UN goals that we are trying to achieve all across the world by 2030. In 2024, there was an update, and in some areas we're lagging behind, but in some areas we're doing pretty well. When we narrow the focus, we identify specific targets that we need to achieve. We must focus on our regional development goals. So the Tobago House of Assembly has identified 12 such goals. And these are the regional development goals for Tobago, where we are focusing on RDG-J. That is to align post-secondary training with the regional demands for skills in the public and private sectors. Community impact responds comprehensively to that need to improve the capacity of the people of Tobago to meet the changing demands of living in the world today. Not only are we required to compete academically on a global scale, but we are required to equip our citizenry with relevant competencies so that we can compete effectively. Community impact will deliver quality education to the post-secondary population in a flexible and sustainable manner. However, as our administrator would have suggested, without intervention, without direct and meaningful intervention by the year 2030, the challenges faced in the education sector worldwide will intensify. The United Nations predicted that 84 million children and youth will be out of school without intervention. 300 million children will lack basic literacy and numeracy skills, and only 1 in 6 countries will achieve universal secondary education without our intervention. The Caribbean context is not very promising. According to a report by the World Bank in February of 2025, so that's our Caribbean context. We've looked at the global context. We want to narrow it down to the Caribbean context. The World Bank 2025 report labeled the Caribbean education system as being in a state of crisis and warned of severe consequences if urgent reforms are not implemented. And we're familiar with those consequences. Poverty, adult poverty, the inability to feed yourself and your children and your families, criminal activity, which we are becoming much too familiar with. I want to quote something from the World Bank about the systemic issues affecting teaching and learning, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but across the Caribbean. They cited outdated teaching practices, ill-equipped infrastructure, broken down and defective old dilapidated buildings, widening educational inequities. So even though some are advancing and we have digital improvements and so on, some are being left behind. So I quote, teaching practices in the Caribbean are still quite traditional, focusing on rigid curricula, we're boring, that do not meet the needs of 21st century learners. Tobago's socio-economic context is one where the workforce within the Tobago House of Assembly is comprised of 12% with primary level education. That's all of the people working in the Tobago House of Assembly. 60% with secondary level education, and 28% with post-secondary education, whether that be on the TVET stream or the traditional stream. The qualifications for some areas will naturally develop some problems. So some of our social problems include unproductive levels of adult literacy. So quite a few of the people who dress really dapper and are very loud and are very integrated in society, they're real cool, they can't read. No, they can't. So they're functionally literate, which means they will go in the bank and they will talk a lot, and they will say that they don't have the glasses today and they can't see well, and they will ask you to help them to fill out the form, right? They will not talk to you for the year, but there's something that they need you to fill out. They will start to bring over some mango and some plum and cherry and things, and then eventually bring the topic of the form to be filled out. They will go into the grocery and they will look for a particular brand, a color, and a particular font. And if they don't see it, they will not be able to tell the difference between milk and soap powder. So let that sink in for those of us with a middle class education who know what reading and writing is. Within our THA context itself, we also have underqualification to fill some of our existing vacancies and needs. We are underqualified in some areas in CSEC mathematics and CSEC English, so we cannot fill some vacancies. We also are lacking some technical vocational skills and specific training for special needs. But there are barriers to change. Those barriers include fear. The person I just described to you doesn't want anybody to know that he or she cannot read or cannot understand. Shame. They didn't have the opportunity. It's there. It's been there. But they don't leave the house, as admin would have suggested, because they don't want you to know that they're going to some place to learn how to read. And then, of course, there are just those who resist change because they're comfortable with what exists and they do not want the process of change. The world is changing rapidly around us, however, and we are changing socially as well, as our rising criminal activity and gang activity is prominent everywhere. We good there, sir? So we must therefore evolve in a positive way. Tobago's vision is to become the greatest little island on the planet. And all employees of the Division of Education, from all sectors of the Division of Education, you must lead that charge to revolutionize the mindset of Tobago's people. Clap for yourself. You, whether you're in the library, whether you're in school nutrition, curriculum, teaching, you must lead the charge to revolutionize the mindset in Tobago. Community impact is one of $44 priority projects set by the Tobago House of Assembly. And it's an excellent initiative to invest in. It's an understanding that you have to develop directly into your human capital in order to benefit from your actual physical investments. No amount of investment in bridges and tall buildings will help our people to preserve those buildings and those tall bridges. You have to have a cultural mindset to keep it safe and to protect it. Otherwise, we'll invest in it and the people will break it down. So we have to invest in the minds of our people. So let's share a few additional information about our community impact. It's expected in its first instance to last 2 years, but it's broken up into cohorts. Every cycle will be 13 weeks, so you can manage it. You could test the waters, you could come out, and you could practice until you get perfect. So for the 2-year period, the Tobago House of Assembly will prioritize your enhancement. You're thinking of an uncle, you're thinking of a son, you're thinking of somebody who would benefit right now from this program. They can start in a particular cycle and then shift to another one, or they can repeat a cycle. One cohort would be purely for literacy and numeracy. One cohort would enhance your CSEC mathematics or your CSEC English. Then you have computer literacy, and you also have life skills. Those life skills could be as basic as learning how to use an ATM machine. At the end of this year, it is our goal that every Tobagonian, regardless of your age, regardless of your physical ability, can use an ATM machine by him or herself without shame or fear. Every Tobagonian, as basic as that. We want you to be able to use your skills in ways to enhance the quality of your life. We will access 15 learning centers, like admin said, throughout Tobago. You don't have to go to the one in your district. You don't have to tell people where you're going. Sometimes you don't tell people where you're going until you get to where you're going. Yes? Set your own personal goals. See what particular cohort will benefit you, what cycle will benefit you, and go out and achieve it. We identify the specific areas of the curriculum that we want to achieve, and the applications are open, both for teachers and for learners. We currently have on register 209 persons who want to learn. Put your hands together for that 209. And we have about 89 persons who have registered to teach. I want to speak specifically to the people who have registered to teach. We're asking you, apart from your competence in the actual course, to be kind and compassionate. We're asking you to understand, look at the image we have here. We have one set who have the skill, and we have one set who need the skill. But all together, we make up this greatest little island on the planet. So we're going to need some to pull some. We're going to need some to help some and to hold some. You have to be compassionate and kind to people who have not seen a classroom in 10, 20, 30 years. You have to hold their hand and encourage them. One major achievement will be for them to end the cycle the same way they began it. Don't come for 1 week and disappear. We have a secretariat employed by the division, and we will call you. When you arrive, we want to see you end the cycle. So that is for the teachers. For those of you who have already registered to learn, I congratulate you and I welcome you. And for all those listening, you are welcome to join today. So you go on the Division of Education's page and you will see Community Impact. Let somebody assist you if you need it. And you scroll down and you register. Even if you don't register, that first Monday in June, you find a center that is closest to you and you will be registered then. As I close. Together, we must all engage in the human capital transformation process. We, the education sector, transform people through transforming culture. We are in charge of culture. We are in charge of teaching. So if crime is happening, we somehow creating an environment for that. So in order for it to not happen, we have to create an environment for that. So we are going to engage in human capital transformation. I invite you to participate fully in this process. We will walk with you from beginning to end, as I said. We will look forward to working with each and every one of you. Put your hands together for the initiative and for the TSA for our community impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Second, for sharing that overview. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we pause for a moment of cultural expression as we invite Mr. Ivor Smart to entertain us with a performance on our national instrument, the steel pan. Put your hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Smart. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to invite the Secretary of the Division of Education, Research and Technology, Assemblyman Zorisha Hackett, to deliver the feature address. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her with a warm round of applause.
Thank you, Ms. Chambers, and allow me to stand on the already established protocols and wish each of you a hearty and blessed good morning. I want the good morning with some life, though. Good morning. You know, I walked into this room and I deliberately wore a bright color this morning. I'm usually dressed in black. And I said, it's a new day. I looked at the weather patterns over the weekend in Trinidad and we were so blessed to be spared, and God's goodness and mercies, of course, is bestowed always on this 116 square miles. And so I want to start by giving thanks for that. But you know, I was sitting next to my technical advisor, former geography and English teacher at Bishop's High School, or what a circle life is, and telling her, you know, we have all these policies as a Tobago House of Assembly, and we bring the passion and the drive and the energy to them. But I wanted us to make mention of the fact that we also have a program by the name of Project Impact. And we have this beautiful policy to roll out by the name of the Tobago-centric curriculum, and they're all so much integrated. And when we sat down and we put our minds together as technocrats in the division, we looked at every segment of Tobago society. So we wanted to treat with our students who were struggling, especially our boys at that primary level, and we even spoke to identifying the learning challenges as early as the ECCE, and how we needed to ensure that we gave our students every possible resource to ensure that they were equipped for life. But then we spoke to the challenges we encounter, because students, although they're with us between the hours of 8 and 3, they return to parents and grandparents and a community where if they don't understand how to support them, we're in the same trouble we started off with. And so we needed to ensure that we place attention to all segments of society. And so Tobago, this program is not just another launch. It is us actually drawing a line in the sand. It is a declaration that as a people, we will not accept the status quo. It is a rallying cry that every Tobagonian, regardless of age, background, or past circumstances, and that's important, deserves an access to the transformative power of education. And so today, the Division of Education, Research and Technology, with a brand new administrator and secretary and a very competent technical team, will officially unveil the Community Impact Program, an initiative that dares to reimagine how education can serve our people, not just within the walls of schools, but deep within the hearts of our communities. Tobago, when 60% of our labor force has only secondary education as their highest attainment, when only 28% have tertiary education, and when 12% have primary education as the highest level of qualification. This is not just data. No, this is our wake-up call. A wake-up call that the way forward must not only be paved with roads and infrastructure, but with access, real, deliberate, meaningful access to education, training, and of course, my favorite word, empowerment. The Community Impact Program, therefore, is that road. It is our 2-year commitment in the first instance, rooted in research, grounded in service, and driven by the vision of a Tobago where not only no child is left behind, but now we're adding no adult is left behind. And here's how we're going to do it. We, as you're already aware, have established 15 community impact centers. And that's good because it was always something that I, had nagging at me, the fact that we have our schools closed up, well lit. You pass on the highway and you see our schools, the electricity is going in the night. And for the exception of probably some after-school programs, we have these infrastructural investments that we spend upward of $20 million every year in upkeep, and we're not utilizing the facilities as we should. And in the first iteration of this program, we had opted for community centers, technical advisor and personal advisor, you all remember. And we were haggling with that, and we said, you know what? We invest so much in our schools, and we spend so much trying to upgrade even the technology, that this investment in the actual properties we're responsible for is a good thing. And so the 15 community impact centers, each located at a school strategically chosen for its accessibility, for its infrastructural prowess, and for its ability to host multiple classes at the same time. And these centers will serve as educational beacons for their communities, offering not just a second chance, but a fresh start for many. This program, my friends in this room, is structured around 3 powerful educational pathways. Pathway 1, for adults who want to sit CSEC Math and English A while receiving critical life skills training to navigate them in the modern world and its professional demands. This pathway offers more than a certificate. It offers for many a new identity, one forged in resilience, in purpose, and of course in pride. Pathway 2. This is for those who have struggled with literacy, numeracy, and even computer literacy. This is for the parents who cannot help with homework, the grandmother who wants to send a text or fill out an online form, the young man who needs digital skills to get the job. This pathway is therefore about functionality. It's about empowering individuals to reclaim their voice, to manage their own affairs, and to engage with dignity in everyday life. And then, of course, we have pathway 3. And this one, our baby, is for senior citizens. Our citizens 60 years and over. Because we believe that aging should never mean becoming invisible. This pathway offers stimulating, age-appropriate activities to keep our elders active, engaged, and connected with each other and their communities. They are not going to be just recipients of care. They are reservoirs of wisdom, and they too deserve a seat at the table of lifelong learning. This program, my colleagues and friends in this room, is not a handout. It is definitely what I want to call a hand up. It is a $3 million investment in our people. An investment that covers devices, or tutors, or supervisors, even janitors, classroom supplies, Wi-Fi access, and of course, security. It is an investment that prioritizes functionality over form, impact over image, and of course, people before politics. It is important to note that we did not build this program in isolation. No, we listened, we consulted, we studied Tobago's unique educational landscape and labor market realities. We aligned it to the 2024 UN Sustainable Development Goals, particularly goal number 4. And sorry, that should have been 2030 UN Sustainable Development Goals. And it is to ensure inclusion and equitable quality education that promotes lifelong learning and opportunities for all. And yes, of course, my colleagues at the Executive Council and area representatives were fully supportive of such a program. But this is not just a policy of the Executive Council, no. It is a commitment to you, the people. A commitment to do better, to serve better, to elevate our communities one learner, one family, one village at a time. Because education is not just about textbooks and tests. It is about restoring hope in our people. It is about building confidence, and it is about unlocking human potential and creating a Tobago that is not just literate, but liberated. We envision a Tobago where a mother in Bonaccord sits her first exam at age 40. A fisherman in Castara learns to budget and manage his earnings. A grandmother in Golden Lane sends her first email, and a young man in Bethel discovers a love for computers that leads him to a career in tech. And Mr. Williams, I would want you to jump in when that time comes. That is our vision. That is our dream. And starting today, that dream becomes a plan in motion. And so to our facilitators and tutors, we wish to thank you in advance for not just showing up, but for showing heart. And to our school administrators or principals who welcomed us into your doors, of course, or joint doors. And, given us that support that you're going to stand with us to utilize the spaces we're all responsible for, I also wish to say thank you. This is a wave of transformation that's coming, and you're all a part of it. And to my 14 assembly colleagues, you're not here this morning, very busy at that, but of course, as we roll out into those 15 districts across the island, I want to see you showing up at the centers and ensuring that the persons you serve, who need this program more than ever, are there. And as we said before, they don't have to go to a center within their district. We understand, and emotional intelligence tells us what this means for a lot of persons, and so pride may not have them get to that center just a stone's throw away from their home. But we want them to understand that they can access any center across this 116 square miles. And so, Tobago people, this is yours. And I urge you to take a hold of it. Tell your neighbor about it. Encourage someone to enroll, because the Community Impact Program is not a government project. No, it is a community project. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that it succeeds. And I want to end by saying this. We cannot keep talking about autonomy if our people remain dependent. We cannot claim to fight for Tobago's development if our adults remain under-equipped. True development, therefore, must begin in the mind and in the heart, and of course the home. And so this is our charge. This is our work. This is our responsibility. And Tobago, this is our moment. Let us rise together, Tobago. Let us educate, empower, and elevate as we take responsibility for the dream of making Tobago the greatest little island on the planet. I thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Assemblyman Zorisha Hackett, for your FITIA address. Your message reminds us that education isn't just about opportunity, it's about transformation, equity, and dignity for everyone, regardless of age or background. Ladies and gentlemen, let's show the team at DIRTEC, along with the Secretary and the Administrator, our appreciation with another round of applause. And now at this time, we'll be entertained once more by Mr. Ivor Smart. Let's welcome him with a hearty round of applause again. Mr. Smart. And before we get into our question and answer segment, so you have a few minutes to think of your questions before we head into that session. Our Acting Chief Administrator, Mr. Carl Murray, will share brief remarks with us. And before he comes to the podium, I'd just like to recognize the presence of Assistant Secretary of the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, Assemblyman Wayne Clark.
Let me say a pleasant good morning to everyone, and let me give salutations to the members of the head table, to the Secretary for the Division of Education, Research and Technology, Assemblyman Zorisha Hackett. It's interesting, I forgot that my wife's maiden name is Hackett. Interesting. As well, let me also say good morning to my good colleague, Administrator in the Division, Administrator Sherry-Ann Edwards, Louis, and as well to our Technical Advisor, Ms. Second, and to all of you who are here this morning, not forgetting as well our Assistant Secretary in the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, Mr. Clark, school supervisors, and to all of you, good morning. It's not a habit to really speak after a secretary, and so I'm going to be very brief, and I just wanted to say two things. One, let me first, in fact, congratulate the division in the launch, which I believe of a successful community impact project, which I believe is going to really be successful and in fact is going to be a model for the country in directing many who need to be directed in terms of reviving and getting on board those who can contribute to nation building as we need them to. And I just wanted to say two things. One, as I sat there, what I found is that based on the remarks that I heard, almost everyone who is in this room can identify with someone that we know that needs help. Let me say needs help. And we sit and we think about the uncle and the aunt, even a good friend who we are afraid to approach and say, listen, help is available. And so this morning I'm thankful that help is available, but it will only work if we encourage them. Many persons, because of the emotional and the psychological issues associated with literacy, have more or less in their own way placed themselves in a self-imposed isolation. And it will only take our encouragement to draw them out and to get them involved. And we can have all the tutors at all the facilities, but if we don't have people attending, then our objectives will not have been met. And I just want to encourage us all, let us as much as possible get people involved, to encourage people that you can change, as I saw in a movie, you can change your stars, you can change the future, you can change your situation. The second thing I thought about is, many years ago, I moonlighted doing some teaching on the side, a side hustle, to raise money to buy a ring to get married. It really did well for me. I should have gotten into teaching because it bought me a very good ring. But it changed my perspective forever. And I'll tell you why in the statement I am going to make. Let us not judge people by our status quo. Let us not relegate and isolate people by our status quo. Many of us in here who are well-dressed, we would have gone to school, and for us the status quo is that you would have gone to school and probably in one pass, we would have been successful. And for us, many of us in our own mind, relegate people who are not successful like that. And we always look at them that if they weren't successful, then education is not for you. I think we need to remove that sort of block that we have in our minds. And so I went and I taught students, and many of them I feel happy today when I see that they are nurses, they are educators, And we have to remember that we have to remove that status quo that we have placed on people. That if you didn't do well once, then this is not for you. And so I want to encourage us this morning that we are here to transform people. And transform people mean that we ourselves have to be transformed. We have to change our mindset, our thinking, and have to look at the fact that in many others, there is a potential that they themselves do not even see. I look at that and I can tell you that these people who I've met today are indicators that there are many who are relying on us. We were all focused and directed, but there are many who need to be shown a light and to be shown a pathway. And I believe this morning there is the opportunity to do so through this program. And so I want to wish the division my sincerest, best wishes. And I believe that this is a program. I almost sat there and for a while said, maybe I need to volunteer in this program. Maybe I need to volunteer in this program because I believe to a certain extent we all can impart in some way, little or big, towards giving a hand up to many of those who are in our society we want to really stand at the level that we need them to stand. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to offer these words and wish you all the best in your endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. So ladies and gentlemen, you have just about 3 to 5 minutes to think of your questions because we're heading into that segment. I'll now invite the Secretary of the Division of Education, Research and Technology, Assemblyman Zarisha Hackett, once again to the lectern.
I can actually stay here.
You stay there?
Yes.
No problem.
It's actually me asking to put Assistant Secretary Clark on the spot. Because when he walked in the room, yes, I'm putting you on the spot. When he walked in the room, I was very happy that Assemblyman Clark, who has a different life story, was here this morning to show exactly what we're speaking about when we talk about community impact. And so, Assemblyman Clark, for about a minute or two, you can just share what you've been sharing with Tobago on your journey to this space and this place, and how it was not typical, and why we need to really invest in our people, and not, of course, judge books by their covers. Thank you so much.
So let's welcome Assemblyman Clark to the lectern.
Pleasant good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am the biggest churchgoer, but for once there I was lost. I hope by the time I'm done, I'm found. Different directions people take at times. Sometimes they intend to go the same place. They just use a different approach. And each and every one of us have our own story to tell. Fortunately, I don't have to write mine. It's already in my head. I live it. Sometimes you embark on a journey and the only person, I don't gamble, but I often say, if you don't bet on yourself, who should? If you don't believe in yourself, who should? You're in a contest. I used to play football. And when I go into play, I say, well, if I don't think I should win, why the supporters should? And in many instances, we have situations that, for instance, when I decided to get involved in public life, to go up for politics, my own family asked me if I'm crazy. Said, man, you drop out of school, you ain't even finish primary school, where you going? And I always believe that there's a table at the top, and it's made out of elastic. If you persevere, it will always expand to accommodate you. Sometimes people tell you the chances are 1 in a million that you might get you. I say, well, I didn't born a twin, I'm only one, is just the one I need. So, in every downside, there's an upside. And it depends on how you look at your glass. Some people see the glass half empty. I see it half full. We could achieve anything we want to achieve. You just have to have the discipline to stick to it. Stick with it. Always stay on the job. Because whilst we sometimes, you beautiful people in the audience who are educators, who have different roles in life, usually you recruit on a 7 to 4 or 8 to 5 basis. But you know the people who doing the negligent things more dedicated than you. The drug pusher never stop recruit. The people who indulge in all the negligent things never stop recruit. So you see, they have discipline, but it just might be in a wrong line. So sometimes we could look at what we perceive to be the worst situation and learn something from it. The people who are always out there, they might not always be doing the right thing, but in many instances, the people who have the answers, the people who know what's supposed to be done, are often the silent people. And I ask each and every one of you to get up and be heard. Get up and do your part. Do your duty. Your duty is not an 8 to 4 one. It's a constant one. Because every day we see people falling by the wayside. Every day we see people coming up against some kind of challenges, some kind of, it got you failure. Don't be afraid to fail. I always say, I don't have no problem with failure. I have a problem with constant failure. Every lesson, every time you fall down, the only way you could finish that race is if you get up and go again. In my life, I fall down many times. I have many bruises, but you know what? I never stay down. Always get up and keep moving. And it's really a pleasure for me to function in a THA with people like Secretary Hackett, the Chief Secretary. So sometimes when they give their story, I say, well, I have one too. It ain't as colorful as yours, but hey, all of we reach the same place. So I want to congratulate Secretary Hackett on this initiative, and we need more initiatives like this. In many instances, even people in the church sit, close the door, put on the air condition and sing hallelujah inside there, and nobody who need a hallelujah in here. We need to get out and get to where the problem is. It's the only way we could overcome. So initiatives like this I would always support. I was out doing field visit this morning. I started at 5:30 because I wanted to be here before you finish. I just barely make it by here. Yes. So thanks again for the opportunity. Thank you for being here, and each and every one of you here has a responsibility to do your part to ensure the success of this program. Thank you again, and feel free to call on me anytime. In cricket, they say I have an unorthodox style, but I'm still taking wicket. So thank you.
Thank you, Assemblyman Clark, for sharing your story with us this morning. And when Secretary Hackett indicated that he would say a few words, he shook his head, no. But he came up here, and he would have inspired us all, I'm sure. Let's give him another round of applause. And now we open the floor, ladies and gentlemen, for any questions you may have. So once you have a question to pose, you can just indicate by raising your hand, and a member of our team will bring the microphone to you. And I just pause to acknowledge the presence of the Assistant Secretary in the Office of the Chief Secretary, Assemblyman Sonny Craig. So I'm seeing 2 hands are raised, Mr. Arthur and Mrs. Edu.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning. All protocols observed. I just have one question. It's part of the intention this morning to get people to volunteer to teach in the programs. I'm just asking.
Well, once you have the information, you can do the volunteering. You can go online and you can register, or you can list your name here before you leave as somebody who wants to volunteer. We have life skills. So the system is still open. So everybody who wants to participate, whether you want to be a learner or you want to be a teacher, you can still either do it online or, since we're here, we can take your information to see how best you can fit in.
I also want to add that we're going to be coming to the chamber for some of your expertise. We realize, yes, Mr. Williams and Mr. Arthur, we realize that you have particular skill sets in your group. And so we're going to be coming in that life skills segment to lean on you for your expertise to get into our communities and assist. I can think of the financial literacy component for certain. So yes, we would have been coming to you anyway.
Just before you finish, there was a question that was sort of segued into it. Persons wanted to know if tutors are going to be paid. Yes, tutors are going to be paid. You would have heard the secretary outlining the amount, the 3 million that will be invested in it, so we are investing. Yes?
But we're using the word volunteer. So
yes. All right, okay. So yes, there's an investment being made, a financial investment.
Well, I definitely need to learn to read, so I'll be coming for that. But quite honestly, I would like to volunteer, and no, I'm not interested in being paid. All right, cool.
Good morning, everybody. Protocols observed. Right, so I have teacher payment was my fourth question. So I will start at the top. Let me ask all and then you all will respond. The first one is, can you share with us the exact centers, those 15 centers that we have been hearing about? So if there was a slide that could share the 15 centers so that we can see where to find it is one. The next, is there a specific targeted age group? So I heard adults, what about teenagers, what about dropouts, and all of that, are they also targeted? The next one, the last one. So Ms. Second started answering it, and investment has been made, because I was asking, is there specific funds allocated for the sustainability of this program? Because I think that's where we fall all the time, sustainability. I don't want it because it sounds good to me, and I think it definitely needed, but is the follow through and the sustainability, because after a year or two and after the first set of graduates, then you stop hearing about the program, it don't have funding, teachers can't get paid, they're not coming back. So did we went through all of that, think it through and allocated the right thing for, so that all of that is sustained? Those are my three questions.
All right, that's quite a bit. I think the first one, the first one was the centers, right? So we try to have a center in every school. So in every district. So I'm gonna call all that is listed. We still have to confirm about 3 of them, but I'm gonna call all that are listed. Speyside High School, Castara Government Primary. Okay, we're getting some hot feedback there. Ready? Speyside High School, Castara Government Primary, Bell Garden Anglican Primary, Montgomery Government Primary, Bethesda Government, Bonaccord Government, Bishops High School, Scarborough Secondary, Mason Hall Secondary, Goodwood Secondary, Scarborough Methodist, Roxborough Secondary, Wim Anglican, and Signal Hill Secondary. Those are all available on Buku as well. Right, and Buku Government. I didn't say Buku. Right. So they're all available online. When you go online to register, you will see the list with all of the names of all of the schools. Right, but we will do the confirmations and we'll do some press releases later on in the week. The Secretariat is going to contact persons who have already registered, and we're going to advertise. We're going to go to different media houses, and we're going to ensure that the public is aware of all of the programs and all of the spaces. Edu also asked about specific age groups. So everybody, it's a second chance, literally third chance, fourth chance. It is a chance. So if you could not manage the school system when you were in the school and you dropped out for whatever reason, and you are ready to start again, you are welcome. So you could have dropped out of high school, you could have dropped out of primary school, you could be an adult who hasn't been in a school system for 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, and you are ready to learn something. So you're welcome, you are to come. And we are to welcome you. All of the tutors are to welcome you. The allocation, the financial allocation. You know how our budgetary structure is. We usually present a visionary budget to the central government, and then closer down at the end of the year, when the budget is actually declared nationally, we reallocate those funds usually. So in the reorganization and the reallocation part of it, the Tobago House of Assembly would have selected 44 priority projects to fund. So that would mean moving around some of the funding in a term called environment. The public servants are familiar with that, and transferring the funds so that we secure the funding before we commence with projects. We're also looking at streamlining how we do projects. Remember I mentioned the regional development goals? So we're looking at a pathway that will allow us to have a clear identification of what your problem is, what your social problem is, then create the policies and the targets, set the targets to align so we can measure the success as we go. So we are reallocating the funding in a responsible way, and one of those funds, one of those priority funds is community impact. Tagging along with that, we also have project impact and the Tobago-centric curriculum. So the funding has already been set aside in terms of that and prioritized. Right? So that's why we would have mentioned that. And this is why when our chief administrator, the chief accounting officer presented himself, I invited him to give us a little chat. And he did. So that's it.
All right, I want to say a pleasant morning to the panel and to everyone who is seated. What I've learned over the years from teaching, I realized there are some teachers who give you a ladder to go down, rather a ladder to go up. And what would have happened as a result of that? It instills fear into students, which is false evidence appearing real. And as a result of that, what will happen? A child or a human being will leave as though they are not worthy of fitting into the society. It's not that they are dunce enough. It's just that sometimes based on your words, there are people who are destiny builders and destiny destroyers. So they destroy your mind mentally, and the psychic of your mind is feeling to yourself that I don't feel academics is my niche. But I don't think so. I think that when the Bible says I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, everybody can learn. But I'm saying the maths and the English, which is so compulsory, might be good, but sometimes the softer subjects might place precedent in a human being mind in order to reach the higher heights. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. Because they might go, you want to pull out a niche, but the niche might not be a solution to the problem. You have to capture what the adult will be able to work with and then build from this. I don't know if I'm making sense. Because you're going to teach, imagine what you might, let me answer you. A family member used to tell me, you ain't going to make it. This end for you, that end for you. And then, like the Holy Spirit tell me, that is wrong. And God helped me to prove them wrong. But I started with the softer subject before I passed math and English. So I don't know if that should be taken into consideration.
Remember I said we have targets set. So we're going to start based upon the evidence that we have, the data that we have. We need to upskill persons in our THA workforce with math where people have a deathly fear of. We need to overcome our fear of math. And when mommy and daddy are afraid of math, that is translated to the picnic and them. So So we're starting with math and English. And we have set targets. Remember I said we're going to work with you 13 weeks, 13 weeks, 13 weeks. It's something in education that we call scaffolding. We're building from one to the next. So we're going to start with the one that you're afraid of the most across this island. And we're going to overcome our fear of math. Yeah.
Do we have another question?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Karen Jones, acting principal, Goodwood Secondary School. My question, I would like to know what would be the timeline in terms of us being ready as it pertains to the program, and also I'm also wondering about the infrastructural preparedness of this program, which, from what you all said, is expected to begin in about 2 weeks.
Right. So we would have hired a small secretariat of young people. You see them with their lovely selves in black ushering you this morning. So our secretariat has been working very hard behind the scenes. On Wednesday, they're going to do all of the calling. We already have the data. We're looking at who has applied to teach, who has applied to learn. So by Wednesday, we will start to call all of the persons who either are teaching or learning, and we will re-engage with the principals of every center. We have had discussions with all of the principals. We have visited and did an audit, an extensive audit of the school's capacities. Procurement has already begun to source the devices that we will use for the computer literacy component, and we have procurement staff here, very professional, very on board with us, working with us and holding our hands as we go along. So we anticipate that though there will not be a problem-free zone, that we will be able to deal with every conflict and every situation, right? So we anticipate that every school will be able to host all of our teachers and staff, and we will learn as we go along.
Mr. Arthur, and then the principal of Bell Garden Anglican. Your hand was raised.
Good morning again. I had forgotten this question. I don't think that it may have been something that was considered when you all were doing this work, because I'm sure you all been working on this for some time. But artificial intelligence. We have a new type of illiteracy now, which would be artificial intelligence illiteracy, if you want to call it that. Is that something you all are thinking about incorporating? Just asking.
So just before I hand over to CEO of TITL, quite a few of us are quite familiar with AI. A lot of students are using the SnapGP or GT, whatever, to write it. Thing the teachers don't know, yeah. So a lot of modern students are using those systems already to help them with their little letters and their little, yes. So it's people know how to use them, right? So we will have that exposure through our ICT component with the computer literacy. So I don't know if...
I want to add something. Yes. I think Mr. Arthur asked that question specifically because he has competency in that area.
Right.
And I'm now saying that although one of our special purpose companies is on board with us, and that is the Tobago Information Technologies Limited, we are open to collaboration from you, as I said before, the chamber. And the fact that although we may think that we have the capacity for whatever area it is, THEI is also in the room, and we're going to be leaning on their expertise to assist us, and of course, MIC, YTEP, our trade school, and so on. If you have a skill, if you have an expertise, now is the time to push yourself to the fore. And so although we have TITL in the space, and we would ordinarily lean on them, they're a part of us, so they're under our purview. Nothing stops you, Mr. Arthur, and the team from the chamber from getting directly involved and actually collaborating with us to take it, and it doesn't even have to be in this specific area, and I'm speaking across the board. You're in this space and you have a skill. We have a life skills component, and we're mapping that out in a particular way to be able to equip Tobagonians in the areas we believe that there's deficiency. So there is no challenge in us collaborating with you. And so yes, Mr. Williams may come on the floor to speak to how we plan to roll out the digitization and digital transformation of the island, but AI needs a particular attention that now I think we need to focus on, probably even separating apart. So, Mr. Atta, yes, thank you. It seems as if that's where you wanted to volunteer your services. I'm picking that up now, and so, of course, you are most welcome.
The very specific, the very specific reason why I asked is when we started the discussion, a lot of what you all said had to do with some of the deficiencies people have on the job itself. And AI is going to become one of those deficiencies that people are going to have on the job. So if we go in there, we might as well go there all the way. So that's it, yeah.
Would you still like
If I
Mr.
could add,
Ian to,
yes, if I could add, Mr. Arthur, we indicated that this is also grounded in research. And while we celebrate the fact that AI is the new reality, we have to understand that if the statistics, if the data is telling us basic English and math and literacy and numeracy is a challenge, we have to get down to those fundamentals and address those pressing issues.
All right, so good morning, good morning. So to answer your question, Mr. Arthur, and just in terms of how Tobago information technology. So our portfolio with regards to training and IT, it's not a new rodeo for us. For many years, the organization is a versed organization with regards to rolling out training, all ages. We offer training from the lowest levels of that age-wise STEM right up to professional certified courses, etc. With regards to infusing AI within the training, there's definitely room for that, and a discussion could be had at this point. All right, because one of the things, and I tell persons that I, even on my organization, implore the staff to take the leap into AI with the proper training, etc. All right, because these tools are available worldwide, and we see where the major players have infused it in their operations. So why must we here handicap ourselves in that regard? All right, so we must look at it, train persons how to use it correctly, ethically, to our advantage as a society. So definitely, we could look at AI being infused in a curriculum like this to better the persons through this program. Yeah?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Williams. So we take the next question from the principal of Bell Garden. Sorry, sir, I cannot remember your name. Mr. Hercules.
Mr. Hercules, yeah. So my question is, we have 15 centers, but the principals, we haven't really been appraised properly of what our role and function is. Is there going to be a meeting to let us know what we have to do, what are the hours of operation, and so on, when we will be able to get that information?
Yes, our meeting is in the card. Yeah?
So you just switch on the mic. It probably might be on. Okay. So while we sort, do we have another mic? Or while we sort that out, the lady next to Ms. Hall can pose her question in the meantime.
Good morning, everyone. It's probably mine. Okay. All protocols observed. Thank you so much for taking my question. Now, I love the initiative. I think it's needed. Question is consideration, collaboration, because I know community development offer all these short courses and stuff like that. So, I am looking into the future and just see an integration of everything. Maybe it'll become its own school, university, whatever it is.
and so an integration feeding into one another as we conserve our resources and stuff like that. There was also, oh, no, it wasn't about the program. I stumbled and fumbled into AI, and I am excited to get some training before I do some damage with it. And so I think, yes, the question is very relevant in regards to AI and the parameters of that. Sorry, one other question, if I may. I think I saw on the video clip that there may have been teacher training already, or that is to come.
No, the video clip was just, you know, a compilation of all of the things that BuildTech has been doing. So teacher training will happen, we'll have orientation for the students, and so on for the entire program. And we'll have the feedback loop taking place, where we're going to have constant feedback so that we know how to adjust as we monitor and evaluate. But the teacher training, we're going to have a standardization session. You can imagine that there are different types of teachers who will be needed. So you'll have the CSEC level is right. So we will have that sort of orientation exercise for both the staff and the students.
All protocol observed. I am Jacqueline Adams, Regional Manager for YTEP Limited. And I'm glad that Secretary would have brought in the TechVoc institution, because we would have received, we are receiving the 60%, the 12%, and even the 28%. And therefore, we recognize the deficiency in the literacy and the numeracy. So I'm glad, and I really applaud the initiative, and therefore, definitely, I will be signing up to see how we can assist as well with regards to the center. So, very good evening.
Question again. As much as I applaud and will encourage initiatives like this, I kind of try to look ahead and see what's the end result here. What about certification? Because I think in the Tobago space, we have been guilty of running program after program after program, and even you who run the program would not take the certificate you give them to employ them. I think it's a serious problem. So I want to know about certification. The last thing is, well, for now until I get up again. You have 15 centers, right? Let's not lose sight of the size of Tobago. And I like to plan things with growth in mind. Where do we go from 15? Where do we go from 15? We have 15 centers. I like to plan things with growth in mind. Where do we go from 15? I'm watching at the spacing out, and some of them look pretty close to me. Right? So just thinking that, do we really need 15 at the onset? Or if you just needed 10 and add as you go along, as you see the demand increase or whatever, just say. Because sometimes if you run a short distance, you could always improve. The first day out to train, you run a marathon, you go break down and you're running again. So just point thinking that. Right?
I just want to answer the 15 districts segment of the question. One of the challenges we have is motivating persons to improve themselves. And we would never, the research shows that, want a situation where the excuse is, I can't get to a center. You want someone, if they opt to remain in the community, because if they opt to leave the community, they would have to, ensure that they get to said space. But you don't want a scenario where the excuse now is, I am living in Golden Lane, but to get to the center in Scarborough Methodist, let's just say, is a challenge to me as a parent coming home from work, having to see about children, etc. It was meant to provide access. So even if you have 4 or 5 persons in that space, We would prefer that, and we also have engaged some what we call super centers. And the super centers are in or around the urban area. So you finish work, you can go straight to the center before going home. But we really, really looked at access. You see that? Being able to literally walk from home and get to a center, it's going to be one of the eases of the program. And not having the transport money, how do I get there, how do I get back home at 8 p.m. on an evening. So that is the challenge. As it relates to growth, fortunately for us, there are 9 secondary schools and 34 primary schools under the division's purview across the length and breadth of Tobago. And so it will never be a challenge expanding. And again, because we looked at where the needs were and the data suggested where we chose based on that in terms of exact location of centers. Again, as the program grows and develops, we may see that in particular areas we need another center immediately. And in others, we may have to scale back because. But for now, based on the data, this is what it suggested as it relates to accessibility and why we selected particular locations. The other question was from Mr. Certification.
Yes. So certification. Remember, we have different cohorts or groups of people. So naturally, the end result of the CSEC Math and the CSEC English would be a certificate in CSEC Math and English that you could use, a grade 3 or above, right? Remember, we're doing it in cycles. So the first 13 weeks might be to help you to get ready for your first exam or so. So ultimately, there's a certification for that. We're going to look at...
And just let them know that under the Division of Education, we will be signing. I was saying that the examinations unit in the Division of Education will be responsible for assisting us sign the actual candidate up for the exam and go through the motions as a private candidate. So that's already covered under the division.
Right. So
that's CSEC.
Right. So that's CSEC, English and Math.
Yes.
Your other cohorts, we actually have a whole lot of people with a whole lot of certificates in the island. You know? We have plenty different level of certificates. We get rare certificates. What we want to do is to be able to, through THDI, accredit people. It is the only institution on our island where we have actual accreditation. So when we partner with our different internal organizations, we will be able to provide a certificate that has meaning and that could help you to go. And we will work with you throughout the system so that each level, you would know what level of qualification you need. One of the things that we were looking at as well, because there's such a dearth, there's such a need for math and English to actually help people to get into teaching at the early childhood level, for instance. We wanted to look at doing a math proficiency exam created by curriculum, and we have the actual accreditation come from PHDI, so that there would be something instead of CSEC Math and CSEC English, because it's so bad. So that's the level that we wanted to start at. So we will always acknowledge that at the end of each step, you get something that you could use to go to the next step. So there will be certification throughout that you can actually use in the system. But it has to be at an appropriate standard to actually fill the vacancy. The point is to upskill the people so that they can actually do what they're supposed to do in any given job. Right?
Okay, so I just have a couple of questions running through my mind, and perhaps even for some of the persons who are here who are principals. One, June is almost upon us, and so in terms of promotion, exactly, how is it being promoted? And how do you continue to sustainably promote this so that it doesn't fall through? And forgive me if I say that, because we have YTEP, we have ComDev, we have several institutions offering these things, but we are not seeing the interest. What are we going to do differently to promote it? Am I going to promote it from the mindset, hey, I'm going back to night school, so that people see the center in itself as now a hub and something that draws them? And so one, in terms of questions, in terms of promotion and marketing, given the time frame we have. Two, explain a little to me, because I'm thinking, we spoke a lot and we spoke about centers. What exactly is going to happen at the center? Are we going to have a multiple set of courses happening at the same time? Are we going to have, for for the benefit of principals who are here, someone who starts with responsibility. I hope I'm not getting, as they say, up in your business. But so are we going to have a center manager, coordinator, who is responsible for recruitment in the village itself, for the community, plus running the curriculum that is there? How is it going to operate from that logistical point of view? And so in terms of all these things happening, multiple things happening at the same time, the folks who are coming into, folks, I'm not an educator, but I know from my background, doing my little thing on the side, are you going to have some sort of screening? Because I suspect people are going to come from different levels. Someone who's going to come 50 years old and say, listen, I just want to learn basic maths and English. Someone who said, okay, I want to give a shot at CXC again. Within this time frame, are we going to do some sort of screening and grouping so that we have the right sort of cohorts in the right area and that people don't get disenfranchised and leave? And so I just wanted to understand a little more how the centers, and we need to come up with something more, sorry to use the word, something a little more sexier than centers, something, you know, more catchy and more attractive, something more trendy. But the final, and perhaps this is a point, so Smart said it without saying it, and I'm not sure how much he really wanted to say it, but I know we're talking about skills, and I know we're talking about fit for purpose in terms of the THA. But one of the things that I have realized that has disappeared from communities over the years, and which has an impact on our culture, is the fact that we have a lot of young people now who do not know much about music and playing musical instruments. And so when we were young, most of the persons in the community, someone learned how to play a tambourine, someone how to play a quattro guitar, and that contributed to the strong culture that we have in our communities. I know ComDev is there, but I just wanted to support this point that I have found, even with my kids, people developing at the same time academically, but with that softer component enhances it. And so I'm wondering, and I'm just putting my little plug, that, you know, the instruments, you know, teaching of instruments, musical instruments and stuff like that, as probably something for consideration that will augment the kind of learning experience. And it may also, as he said, draw people, first of all, who might not have the interest in the subjects, but when they see the order of the place and how it is, things are being done, it may be encouraging them for them as well to get into something else that is there. And so just explain to me the logistics, the center, and how it operates.
All right, so I will start. We already have 209 persons who have registered, right? So we are looking at a very kind of innovative and creative approach to attracting the people and keeping them there. I would have pointed out the secretariat of young persons that we have. So they literally took the flyers to each division, they walked across to the divisions and so on, and they promoted community impact. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to have spots on all of the traditional forms of the media to explain it. But we're not going to do it in a boring way, we're going to do it in a sexy way, where these young people already have their skits outlined and they already have different scenarios put together. So they're all very excited. What we are hoping to do is to inspire other communities to do literacy and numeracy activities as well. We are hoping that this movement is going to spark interest in churches, in different NGOs, and so on. So people, your different police, youth club, your this, that, and the other, we're going to focus on literacy and numeracy for Tobago for this year. So we should see a whole lot of other activities becoming more streamlined. And what we're going to do is be the catalyst. We're going to organize it in a way where everybody could understand how it could work and for it to be sustainable. So one, we're going to have a more sexy, a more exciting approach to marketing. One-on-one, going for people, going for them on the block, going for them in the churches, going for them everywhere. We're going to have persons who have similar paths, like Assemblyman Wade Clark, like MP David Thomas, who have a certain kind of way that they achieve, like Dr. Shirla. Shirla also has an interesting path. We want to encourage and to mobilize people to be involved in marketing for us. So we're going to just spin it off. You understand? And when we get there, we'll have a timetable. So that timetable will be organized You're not going to be in the same class every day. You're not doing math Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you'll do math, you'll do some computer literacy, and you'll do some life skill. So there will be a timetable organized, and we will have management, a coordinator that looks at the east section and that looks at the west section. So all of your developmental challenges, etc., will feed back into the Division of Education, so we know how to adapt as we go along. So it's going to be organized with a curriculum, with timetable, and we're going to streamline them with orientation, both the teachers and the tutors, and constantly have feedback as we go. The intention is to ensure that we do it in a coordinated manner. We make it, what we're trying to do is make the idea of being dumb not something that makes you ashamed or afraid of coming forward. We want to demystify learning and welcome people to learn. So we want to inspire everybody to follow the path that we're creating. That's the path. You had something? Mike.
All right, so morning everybody. Dr. Waldron Joseph.
Morning. Morning.
Principal of Bethesda Government Primary School, better known as the University on the Hill, for those who don't know. Yes. Yes, sir. Right there. All right, so I like and I applaud the efforts, being a principal and an educator for many years. I mean, this is the way to go. We know what is happening with our literacy and numeracy in our island, and if we have to see any changes, we got to arise and do something. And I applaud your efforts at the division. Some key points to note: advertisement is the key. Advertisement, just as when it was election time, we heard the big trucks going through. You had to turn down your TV and turn down whatever you're doing. I think that we should have been already bombarding Tobago with this venture. Every time you listen, instead of hearing something negative, you should be hearing, get ready. This is coming to your community. This is coming to your space. We are going to be in your area. We are going to be in your neck of the woods. That's one. Two, I'm hearing the program is 2 years. My thing is, after 2 years, as with everything else, there must be, what did we do? Did we accomplish? How are we going to assess the fact that we have accomplished, Sister Natasha, what we set out to accomplish? And many times we fail as a people when we engage in things and there is no assessment. Did we accomplish that which we had set out to accomplish? And I think it's very key and very, very important and pertinent that there be a system in place to assess what we want, what we require, are we getting there, what we could tweak along the way, what to take out, what to put in, and at the end, there is a thorough assessment of this great initiative. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All protocols observed. President, good morning, everyone. I'm sitting here and so many thoughts. I don't know if I have a question or just a comment, or simply to congratulate the persons who conceptualized and have developed this entire idea. And we all know within the Tobago education sector, we focus largely on our ECCE, our primary and our secondary schools. The sector that is missing somewhat as far as our focus has to do with our adult education program, adults, in my head, adult and tertiary education sector on the island. At the secondary, we have a number of students who fall off the cracks, as we say. We lose them. They do not graduate at the end of the day with the necessary competencies or certification, subjects, etc., to actually go into the work sector. What happens to them thereafter? Yes, we have the YTEP and we have other skill areas, but the basic things, the literacy and numeracy, many of them remain out there without any certification, any skills that they can utilize in work sector to be productive. Now, one of the things I did not hear had to do with the hotel sector, the hotel school. I didn't hear anything about them. I'm also thinking we need to rope them in because we have a, yes, you're here, right. But I'm saying it as a person who I find myself interacting with persons from the hotel sector, persons who are seeking employment. And when you check their resumes, most of them are either dropouts or after they left school, whether it is 2 or 3 subjects, never explored any other form of formal education. So they are coming to you, seeking employment and lacking skills. And what they're saying to you, I am willing to be trained. But you have been home for 5 and 10 years and you have not explored anything. And the hotel school would also say to you, they are advertising. And many of the persons who are seeking what they are advertising are not necessarily our young people here in Tobago. So I want to say, as we develop this program and as we roll it out, we need to ensure that we target and we get those real persons who need to come out to access the program. Someone spoke about marketing. Yes, that is important. Bombarding them, etc., with what is required. But we need to ensure that we have a very structured, systematic program that targets our adult personnel on the island so that they can become skilled. Certification is important. The question was asked. We have a representative from various stakeholders. What's your organization? Chamber of Commerce, etc. It is important that they are here too, because we need buy-in from the stakeholders. The question was asked after they are finished, if they don't have a certificate and they go to a business space for employment, what are they going to show? We can have, and the curriculum, I don't know if curriculum is here, curriculum unit is important too, to be able to divide what are the specific skills that will be on that certificate to say to the employer, this person is competent in this particular area or in these particular areas. That's important. Even CXC at this point has recognized that. Yes, you have a large percentage of students who are accessing CXC, but we also have a large percentage who are also failing. Some who have also dropped out. So if you dropped out of secondary school at second form, there should be some certificate that says that up to second form you were able to have mastered these particular skills. If you dropped out in fourth form, you should have, and CXC is right now contemplating putting on board a program like that. And therefore, with this system that we have here, I am suggesting that we think of certifying them, indicating the specific skills on the certificate, so that when they go to the employer, they understand what they are taking on. And we have established certification organization here in Trinidad and Tobago. I do not know if the hotel school has the capacity, but I know that our curriculum unit can also speak to it, and also we have other established organizations can assist us with certification. But all in all, I think it is excellent, and we really need, even at the division, to build out our adult education sector within the division. Because at some point in time, we had adult education extension officers who particularly work in that area to ensure that our young people who fall out from secondary, etc., are taken care of. So I wish the program coordinators all the best.
We take this final question and then we wrap up the question and answer segment. And if you have any further queries, Ms. Second will share the contact information for the secretariat.
Hi, good morning. All protocols observed. I just want to share and just add and ask for possible consideration, understanding the importance of nutrition, health, and wellness. So as part of the lifestyle training component, please have like basic nutrition, because in interacting with persons, adults, some persons don't know how to create a basic diet or a basic meal plan. So just to take simple things from a pantry, have some food to help you grow and glow. Could do simple things like that to have for consideration as part of your life skill, lifestyle, because your health is your wealth. Health is your wealth. You can learn all the different components, math, English, but if you're not healthy, so you put it for consideration. I just want to share that.
So, Ms. Second, you can just share the contact information for the Secretariat as we close the question and answer segment. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much for your questions.
Right, so you can have 384-5711, 384-5711. You can go online, Division of Education page, you will see the community impact link, and you will see all of the associated phone numbers. Yeah?
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Second. At this time, as we close this meaningful event, I invite Mr. Alex Job Thomas of the Division of Education, Research and Technology to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good day, everyone. So my job here is simple, and close off to allow us to get something to eat. Right? So as we bring today's launch as we bring today's launch of the community impact to a close, it is only fitting that we pause and express our sincere appreciation to everyone who played a part in making the event a success. I would like to express our deepest appreciation to the Secretary of Education, Research and Technology, Assemblyman Zorisha Hackett, for her steadfast commitment to this transformative initiative. Our gratitude is also extended to our administrator, Mrs. Sherry-Ann Edwards-Louis, whose support and foresight ensured that the necessary resources were mobilized to make this vision a reality. Thank you to the Chief Administrator for his encouragement and best wishes. Thank you to Assemblyman Clark for encouraging us with his life story, and we really appreciate it. To the dedicated staff of the Division of Education, Research and Technology, we are truly grateful. Special mention goes to the Technical Advisor, Ms. Natasha Ann Second, Ms. Tanisha Ali, Advisor to the Secretary, and we would also like to thank the Communications Department, Ms. Nisha Kamabach and her capable team, as well as the Procurement Unit, Ms. Jamila Collier, for their invaluable support through the planning process, and we really appreciate it. We would also like to recognize the core members of the Community Impact Secretariat, with our coordinator, Ms. Celine Roberts, as well as we would like to mention Ms. Jones and Ms. Cathy Charles John from the Office of the Secretary, who, with their tireless dedication and hard work behind the scenes. We'd like to also extend appreciation to the school principals whose cooperation and involvement have been instrumental, and we'd like to express thank you to the staff of the Shore Park Cultural Complex for their hospitality, the media for helping us share the milestone with the broader public. And finally, thank you to all those in attendance here for joining us today and continue to show interest in the work ahead. We look forward to your ongoing support. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the day, but I would like to mention, in terms of the Community Impact Program, please ask persons. I know persons need encouragement, so I'm just asking you to encourage persons, and we thank you for attending, and please go out there and encourage persons. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Job. And we also want to express thanks to Ms. Davia Chambers for taking us through the program.
with her usual charm and grace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Edwards-Louis. So ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of today's launch. Thank you so much for being here with us, as well as our online viewers. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Tavia Chambers. Do have a wonderful remainder of your day. You will be served with refreshments, so you just go through the door on your right-hand side and you collect your refreshments. Thank you once again.